Hey, welcome to the coffee break with Brian. Today, I want to talk about my dad, a very hardworking man that worked all his life. He owned his own company and he would never sit still. Sometimes he would spend hours, days at the shop working. And if you wanted to see him, you'd have to go over to the shop. To me, that's a dedicated worker. But, anyways, he ended up having his first stroke, and that put him down for a while. And the doctors told him that it would probably be best if he sold his business. You know, when a man builds a business, that's his livelihood, that's his life. And when he has to get rid of something that he truly enjoys because of getting sick, that really hurts. He sold his business and he started feeling better. So he went to work with a good friend of his that actually done something similar did in his company. And then he ended up having another stroke. But this time it forced him to retire because he got aphasia. The same thing that Randy Travis, the country singer, has. And when he would say something, the words didn't match up. He knew exactly what he was thinking, but when you say it, it came out wrong. One day when I was over there, he said, "Son, will you let the cat out?" And I knew that they didn't have a cat, but I knew they had a dog, so I let the dog out. Mom and Dad never had a cat, not even when we were kids. So aphasia affects you. He was no longer able to drive. He was no longer able to be that social butterfly that would get on the phone and just talk to all his friends, stand up in church and sing his songs that he wrote and play his guitar, or just talk to his brother on the phone, or his sister, or his friends. It was just a sad thing. And then he ended up going back to the hospital, and they found out that his heart was bad and that he would need a heart transplant. So these specialists, these heart doctors, decided to put a mechanical heart valve in his heart while he was waiting for a transplant. Well, that is called a VBAP. Well, after he spent several months in the hospital to make sure everything was going to work out for him, while he was waiting for his transplant. So he went home and he lived the life the best way he knew for the situation he was in. He would go out and mow his grass, rake his yard, and you would look at him and you would think he was a normal person. But I'm sure deep down inside that once hardworking man that he was very sad and very depressed. He was no longer able to drive his car or take his truck or just talk on the phone. The only thing he really done was watch TV. And TV was definitely not his favorite pastime. His favorite pastime was playing his guitar, spending time with his grandkids, and just being who he knew how to be best. Well, then he ended up going back to the hospital due to eternal bleeding because of the valve. So they fixed it. I can't exactly remember how long he was in the hospital that time, but they fixed it. And then, like always, they would send him to rehab. And this time, when he was in rehab, he was going to be in there for a week. Well, like 2 days after being in rehab, my mom noticed that he was talking a little silly, more so than he would, anyways, because she was talking to him and his words were broken up sentences. And when she talked to him, he said he wanted to go home. And my mom says, "You can't go home yet. You have to do this rehab and then we'll take you home." And he said, "Not that home." And she says, "What home are you talking about?" And then he pointed to the sky. So then she knew that there was definitely something wrong with him. So she told the nurse, and she said to the nurse that he needs to go to the hospital because that's just not something he would say. Because the first thing he would want to do was get out of there and go see his grandchildren, his kids, his friends, his brother, his sister. But that time he pointed towards heaven and said that home. Well, he just got worse. He ended up smacking the nurse and then restrained him. And then they finally took him to the hospital. And that's when they noticed that his kidneys were shutting down and they couldn't stop it. He was dying. And to come to find out after they had put him on life support that it was only an infection and antibiotics would have cured him. So my dad did not die from a bad heart. He didn't die from a stroke. He died from an infection. And that tells me that people should have listened to my mom because sometimes listening is best. So, my advice to doctors, nurses, medical staff is sometimes it probably does good to listen because mom knew best. Family knows. Family knows how a person is, and they know if that person is right or if there's something wrong. And I'm also here to tell you that retirement is not always promised. So, that being said, don't always wait and wait and wait to retire. Retire while you still can. Retire while you're able to do the things you want to do. Don't wait and say, "Hey, I'm going to do it next year. That way I'll have more money." Because what if something happens to you? What if you end up having a stroke? And what if something even worse, you end up dying? You can't take that money with you. So why don't you go out and have fun while you can? And if you can retire, retire. Because we're not always promised another day. So don't put off what you can do today and do it tomorrow. Because tomorrow is never promised. It's definitely not. So my question is to you. How many of you have family members that are working and could retire, but they always want to make more money? So when they do retire, they have more money to spend or more money in the bank. So that's my take. I want to say, have a great day, a better day tomorrow, and God bless, and see you on the next video. And if you like this video, put in the comments that you want more of them like this. Thank you, and God bless.